Tonight, police have arrested a teenager in connection to a murder in St. John's. The RCMP apprehended 19-year-old Ibrahim Hussein as he tried to flee the island.
Continuation of the defunding of the freedom to learn in the province.
We've been saying for years that feet on the ground is what truly makes a strong education system.
It's like many things in these budget documents, the devil is in the details.
Combing through the provincial budget, we'll have more reaction.
Two students with the Early Childhood Education Program who are about to graduate from the College of the North Atlantic weigh in on their thoughts on what the government is going to do for their career in yesterday's budget. I'm Colleen Connors, and I'll take you inside their classroom to find out what they had to say.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. The search for a teenager wanted for murder ended on a wharf on the island's southwest coast. RCMP officers arrested 19-year-old Ibrahim Hussein just before noon today at the Marine Atlantic Ferry Terminal in Port aux Basques. Hussein was wanted in connection with a shooting on Watson Street in St. John's on Tuesday night. A 33-year-old man was found seriously injured outside a home, and he later died of his injuries. Hussein has been charged with murder and a number of firearms offenses. A second man was arrested with Hussein, but no further details are available. And the panel that sets the price of snow crab has made its decision, siding with the union submission. The Fish Food and Allied Workers Union asked the panel for a starting price of $4.97 per pound this season, and that's compared to the ask of $4.50 a pound from the Association of Seafood Producers. The decision comes against the backdrop of an ongoing Canada-U.S. trade war and protests against quota cuts. We have more budget reactions. School teachers are pleased with the funding boost in yesterday's provincial budget, including $20 million for 400 new teachers and learning assistants. Meanwhile, Memorial University will get $400 million, but the past president of MUN's Faculty Association says that's not nearly enough.
It's a continuation of the defunding of public education in the province. The government is keen to highlight top-level numbers, but when you break them out, the base operating budget, for example, remains more than 50% below what it was 10 years ago. There is, of course, yes, this money, $70 million for deferred maintenance, other infrastructure issues. That's over 8 years. Obviously, that sounds like a lot of money to regular people, but that's money in the face of a $450 million deferred maintenance cost. It's really just drops in a bucket that aren't going to do much in a context where it's only going to grow that deferred maintenance. That infrastructure issue has real consequences for attracting and retaining students. We've already seen declines in enrollment for a variety of reasons, in part declining infrastructure. It's also a major issue for attracting and retaining faculty. At this pace, it's continued decline. I think that's an honest assessment. That is certainly a factor of money. It's also a factor of governance. Something that has not been adequately addressed yet, particularly around Board of Regents and how faculty and staff remain sort of shut out of that process. So in the short term, the picture is a bit bleak, to be honest.
In previous years, we've often said education was left off the docket or very slightly referenced. This time to see us at the top or near the top, very positive. When I say us, I mean the system as a whole. Teachers are pleased with the outcome, but in the end, it's our children and families that are going to benefit most. Our advocacy is always centered around those schools that are obviously busting at the seams, so to speak. Those schools that have heightened levels of violence and safety concerns. But also those with heightened complex needs that they're facing. Supporting our newcomers in many ways is another area that we'd like nothing more than to see some additional support. So for any of those reasons, you might see some increases in the future. I think government has made a statement that they value education as much as it's easy to say that behind closed doors, but to do it publicly with substantial monies, that is where we need to be. And as an organization, we've been saying for years that feet on the ground is what truly makes a strong education system, because then we can address the academics, the safety concerns, as well as the overall learning and well-being of children.
Still with the budget, government has also committed to spending more on childcare spaces, but two early childcare education students in Corner Brook say more is needed. They want more support for educators in their field. Here Now's Colleen Connors reports.
Early childhood.
These two are days away from graduating from the College of the North Atlantic's Level 2 ECE program, a class of 17. And they watched and listened for any news in the budget that would affect them.
I was very happy to see that it was more they're still focused on $10 a day daycare, to keeping that in there. They're really focused on trying to recruit ECEs that want to join the field.
Which is all great, but not enough, says these two students, who want government to understand they are not babysitters.
Mainly, we want to be recognized as professionals once we enter the field. A lot of people have the persona that we're babysitters, but we are educators and teachers, and we should be treated that way. It would be really nice if we could see pensions, benefits, review of the wage grid often to make sure we're compensated properly throughout our career. Sick days for staff.
Wells has a job lined up with a daycare in Happy Valley Goose Bay in July. Nielsen is waiting on word from a registered daycare in Corner Brook. Starting wages are $25 an hour, or $1,000 a week. They've both heard horror stories about ECEs leaving the field after just a few years due to low pay and burnout. Government committed to regulated care for thousands of families yesterday, with $100 million going to the $10 a day program, and nearly $4 million to increase the number of spaces. But they say that's not the problem. Retention is.
I feel like now the government should focus on keeping them in the field. It seems like yes, of course we need more ECEs, but we also want to be able to keep the ECEs that we already have, right?
Yeah, so we do have ECEs entering the field, but it's not really offsetting the amount that we're keeping because we're having so many people leave the field.
These students, soon to be graduates, want to remind the government that many of their budgetary decisions surround proper childcare. The promise of 400 new educators and student assistant positions, well, many of those workers will of course need proper childcare before they can enter the workforce. Colleen Connors, CBC News, Corner Brook.
Well, there's also some potential relief for local restaurants in the budget. The provincial government announced up to $10 million as part of a loan guarantee program. But one chef and restaurant owner says the devil will be in the details.
You know, for the government to kind of single out restaurants specifically with a line item and this program that they've announced is a first for me. Tourism and hospitality gets mentioned all the time, and restaurants get rolled up into that. But to see restaurants specifically mentioned is I think it's a positive step, and I think it shows that there's a recognition that it's a fabric of the community, it's a fabric of the economy, and government trying to see a way to support it in whatever way that they can.
Specifically, $10 million for a restaurant loan guarantee program for locally owned restaurants. How far will that money go?
Well, I mean, it's like many things in these budget documents, the devil is in the details, as we all like to say. It depends on how they roll it out. It depends on what the kind of stipulations will be around it. Depends who can access it and what you can access it for. There's a danger that you take money from the government to pay off another debt, and really are you much further ahead? The application of it in terms of growing and putting a plank in businesses as opposed to just shifting your debt from some entity to the government, I think is important. So how that rolls and how that works is a challenge. But like we say it in the restaurant industry all the time, you can't let perfect be the enemy of good. So this is definitely a step in the right direction.
On some other news now, the team overseeing negotiations with Quebec on the new Churchill Falls deal has released its first report. The Oversight Committee was created to provide advice to Cabinet. The province's energy minister says he hopes it will prevent past mistakes from repeating.
We have perhaps one of the biggest deals in the history of this province, which has been, there's a memorandum of understanding, there's a negotiation that's going to continue. And I think every single person in this province wants it to be successful. But many people have heard this before. Certainly I heard it as a member of opposition, that this was a great deal as it related to Muskrat, and that, that everything was going to be great. This is an extra layer of protection from completely independent experts and, no affiliation, people that can look at this, who will then advise Cabinet on what this looks like. And I don't think that was something that happened, especially in Muskrat, where when you look at the inquiry that came from that, Cabinet was misled in many cases. So in this case, we have someone independent of the negotiation, independent of Cabinet, independent of that process, but will have access to all the information and can then put their sort of eyes on that and give us their advice and opinion on where things are going.
The new Mental Health and Addiction Centre is set to open in St. John's this coming weekend, and that has some people thinking about the legacy of the facility that's being replaced. As Here and Now's Mark Quinn reports, mental health advocates say the Waterford Hospital's successes and failures must be remembered.
Don't let it go, don't let it just disappear.
Susan Hyde has lived experience at the Waterford Hospital. Diagnosed with bipolar disorder, she lived here as a patient for a couple of months almost 20 years ago. She's now the executive director of the province's Schizophrenia Society, a group that works inside this facility.
The most rewarding thing I've ever done in my life. And I always say to people that, I was sicker than I have ever been in my life when I was here, just because I was ill, the course of my illness, and now I'm better than I've ever been in my life.
Hyde strongly believes there should be an effort to memorialize all of the good and bad history of the Waterford.
I think the book on this place has not been written. There was something that was written with a lot of statistics and stuff, excellent, but the book about the Waterford, not been written.
This place has also been central to the concerns of this province's Canadian Mental Health Association. Its CEO has a PhD in bioethics.
The Waterford Hospital didn't only have people who were experiencing mental illness or mental health issues. It was also considered to be a holding place for what they called social undesirables at the time. So that included the impoverished, the elderly, people with disabilities, feminists, activists. It included a lot of different groups of people.
Kavanagh says more recent history, what she refers to as the discharge scandal of the 1980s, should be remembered to inform future healthcare decisions.
So this notion of deinstitutionalization, get people out of the institutions that they're in, back into the community. But unfortunately, the supports that those people needed to thrive in the community weren't provided. And so we ended up deinstitutionalizing people, and in some cases, people ended up homeless or addicted to drugs.
Mental health advocate and lawyer Mark Gruchy spent time here in the 1990s. Mental illness forced him to drop out of high school, but he finished school in a program here at the Waterford. Gruchy says that during its long history, many sick people were mistreated and profoundly neglected at the Waterford.
It's dangerous to turn away from the past and to try to just forget the bad things, because it wasn't all bad, but it certainly wasn't all good. And it's a story of people trying to be good, and then they're colliding with reality and things getting bad over and over again in waves. That's what actually produced all the horror and trauma in mental hospitals.
The Provincial Health Authority isn't saying yet what will happen to the old Waterford Hospital buildings. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, taking a look at the picture of temperatures across the province, not too bad today. 6 degrees in St. John's, 5 in Gander, even Twillingate reaching a temperature around 3 degrees. Again, that much colder air, though, still up across Labrador, -7 in Lab City this afternoon. However, along the strait, your temperatures are actually a little bit near or above zero. Another windy day as well. The good news is over the next day or so, we will start to see those winds ease, but topping out between 50 and even 76 kilometers per hour this afternoon. As we head through the next couple of days, quiet weather, which will be nice. I'll get into all the details coming up.
Now to some sports news. AAA hockey is taking over rinks in central Newfoundland this coming weekend. The boys under 13 team in Central is hosting the Atlantic Championship in Grand Falls, Windsor, and the girls Central squad is hosting that Atlantic tournament in Gander. Troy Turner has the details.
Skate blades rip through the ice. The intensity of practice heightens before any tournament, and the hosting of Atlantic Canada's best AAA teams is among the biggest these players have seen.
It's going pretty good, you know. I mean, we're one of the top teams this year, and we've been playing pretty solid as a team together. Really came together after we went on.
Jack Stone and a handful of players from Grand Falls, Windsor are playing in their home rink for this tournament. Players on the Central Ice Pack come from all parts of central Newfoundland.
I played like out of province tournaments before in Montreal and Halifax and stuff, but having such a big tournament close to home, it's really special. We've met the Hitmen, obviously, Eastern Hitmen. We've been playing them all year. It's been going pretty strong. They just won provincials and playoffs, so they're coming off a big high. I expect it to be tough, you know? I mean, this is Atlantic Canada we're talking about, right?
Central Ice Pack's female team puts the final details on its prep for the Atlantics in Gander. Besides the provincial champion Tri-Pen Ice, the competition is all new to them.
It feels actually really good to know that my hometown's hosting a very big tournament. All your friends can come in and like cheer you on, and that it's gonna be really nice. It's pretty much really important because we gotta like show off like how good our arena is at that, how good our team is.
It's Gracie Torville's first year playing AAA. In addition to her Gander teammates, she's been loving the chemistry the Central girls have.
They're like so kind and all, and they're a lot hardworking, and there's really good teamwork that happens in our team, and a lot of positivity. I'm very excited because it's a very new opportunity for me.
The Central boys will kick off play tonight at 7:30 against the Taza Ducks of Nova Scotia. That's at Joe Byrne Memorial Stadium. The Central girls will play here at 7:30 against the Metro West Force, also of Nova Scotia. That begins at 7:30 directly after the 7 p.m. opening ceremonies. Troy Turner, CBC News, Gander.
Well, now let's head to the island's west coast. A cargo ship that ran aground near Lark Harbour is becoming a growing concern for residents. The MSC Baltic 3 ran aground in mid-February in Cedar Cove, that's near Lark Harbour, and has been stuck there ever since. Plans are underway to clean it up, but residents are worried it's taking too long. The CBC's Amy Fian has more.
High winds are normal for Cedar Cove. This ship isn't. And those two together are why Lark Harbour's mayor says accessing the vessel by water isn't in the cards.
If you're going to go by sea, your days of getting by that ship with a barge or with a small vessel, it's limited. You need a perfectly ideal conditions, calm weather, stuff like that. And in Cedar Cove, that's limited. That's very, very scarce.
His solution? Upgrade this ATV trail so that it's accessible to remove any fuel and large freight off of the vessel.
I mean, the footprint is there for the road, and all they didn't need to do is build it up a little bit, put some ground down there, and make it more secure for bigger vehicles, I guess, you know.
The Baltic 3, which ran aground in mid-February, has suffered significant structural damage. Locals are concerned about how those damages could affect their livelihood.
I've been fishing in this area for the past 30 years, and our lobster season is normally 70-day season, and we fish roughly on average 30 days, roughly every second day.
And he's not alone.
I had guys, fellow fishermen, phoning me and saying they weren't sleeping at night thinking about the oil on this ship.
The proposed upgrades for the ATV trail have been approved, but the construction has not started.
And we're after being told in the last few days that the road is on pause.
The Mediterranean shipping company, MSC Baltic, did not respond to CBC's interview request, but Park says they need to come up with a plan, and they need it now.
How important this is to our town and to our fishery and to our tourism to get this mess cleaned up and get the fuel off of the ship like right now.
Amy Fian, CBC News, Cedar Cove.
Details.
Ashley, it was a nice, bright, sunny day out there for all the little plants trying to poke through the ground right now.
It certainly was for most of the province. Now we are seeing some snow for parts of the west coast, but it is fairly isolated. The clear skies today gave us a nice view of what's happening up across Labrador, particularly when it comes to the sea ice. You can see that here very clearly, and with those wind barbs, which are here, I'm showing you that that ice is being pushed further offshore. That's not necessarily good news when it comes to the iceberg season. There are tons of icebergs out there, but it depends on if they make their way down. We typically need to see more of a northerly flow to see those the ice pushed back towards our shores. And I guess we've got a little bit of time to figure that out. But for now, this is what the picture looks like. And if we zoom out a little bit, we can see there's not a whole lot of cloud cover east either for the eastern portion of the island, especially as we headed into the afternoon, but the west coast still dealing with some of those flurries. Not much of it is sticking, but it's still certainly there. And as we head through the next couple of hours, you're already starting to see it taper off. But it will continue to do so as we head through tonight. Live shot outside the room's camera. Beautiful, beautiful evening. It's a little chilly now, though, 2 degrees. That wind chill feels more like -5. Generally sitting under high pressure, and the winds are out of the west, somewhere between 40 to as much as 57 kilometers per hour. And again, it's been fairly breezy for most of the day today. But as we head through tonight and into tomorrow, those winds will start to ease a little bit. But certainly still leading to quite chilly wind chills across the island. Temperatures for the west coast right now hovering around the 0 degree mark, but your wind chills still feeling like -7. Towards the coast, -teens, and even for Lab City, you're sitting at about -16 with that wind chill. So, like I said, generally sitting under a ridge of high pressure, but we do have an area of low pressure offshore and a trough associated with that. That is sparking the cloud cover and also some flurry activity. And if we take a look at what's going to happen as we head through the weekend, after this system moves off, that ridge of high pressure really going to dominate the weather picture. And that's good news if you like some sunshine, because that is what is going to happen as we head through the weekend. This area of high pressure will drift slowly east. And then we've got another one that's going to move in through Saturday and hang around really as we head into Sunday. Our next weather maker, this area of low pressure that will likely move in. It's been slowing down over the last couple of model runs, but likely going to move in Sunday night and through Monday, and this could bring a little bit of a wintry mix. So you're going to have to keep an eye on that one, at least for parts of the island. Now, as far as what's going to happen tonight, that flurry activity for the west coast, like I said, will taper off tonight. We should actually see some clear skies for the most part. Labrador is still hanging on to the chance of a few flurries for you as well. And then as we get into the early morning hours, a little bit more cloud cover in play, especially for those of you in Lab West. Temperatures tonight, speaking of Labrador, will be the coldest in Lab West at -16. Wind chills feeling more in the -20s. And then the rest of the big land between -7 and -10. Now across the island, the winds will be out of the southwest or west, somewhere between 30 to as much as 40 kilometers per hour. But that's about it. Your skies should clear out and temperatures will dip, hovering around the 0 degree mark for the Avalon, otherwise minus single digits tonight. Into tomorrow, that ridge of high pressure going to dominate the weather picture. It's going to be very nice tomorrow. As far as the cloud cover and sunshine goes, you'll see plenty of sunshine, although temperatures will still be on the chilly side through the day. We're looking at a few flurries up across Labrador, but nothing significant. And then as we head into late in the evening, you're going to see some high cloud move in. It'll lead to a nice sunset through the evening. But other than that, nothing really on the go. And as far as the temperatures go tomorrow afternoon, look at this. Generally single digits, anywhere from 4 to as much as 9 or 10 degrees. Again, southern areas of the island, because you're in onshore flow, will be a little cooler. Same thing for the northern peninsula. Labrador hovering near or just above 0 for the southeast. Otherwise, minus single digits. I'll get into the long range a little later.
Thank you, Ashley. Well, sea ice is an important part of life in many northern communities, but that ice has become more unpredictable in recent years. It's forcing Inuit communities to adapt, combining traditional knowledge with technology. Here's part of a conversation with Smart Ice on CBC Radio's The Signal. It's a social enterprise that works hand in hand with the local community.
In Nain, we've done some really great work with the Community Management Committee there, and we've created a terminology booklet. And the booklet are pictures of different types of formation of snow and ice with the Inuktitut and then the English titles. And it's really about teaching the younger folks in the community about what to look for. And if you see ice looking like this is what it means, and this is probably how it was formed, and these are the hazards. So we've done a terminology booklet in Nain, and we've delivered it to everybody in the schools. So every child in school got one of these booklets to take home for their family to look at and digest and learn and then think about what they see on the ice as well. So we're trying to come at it in a whole bunch of different ways. Renee is one of our what we call mappers within the community, and Rex had Renee come in as a participant in the Employment Readiness Program maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And now she's actually working with us, and she's creating travel safety maps for her region based on Earth observation from satellite imagery, and then layering it with Indigenous and local knowledge. And so she is a resource within that community. And we've got like a 3-year program where she's being, I think she's finishing year 1 now, and then she will go on to year 2 and 3. And then ideally then the other Inuit participants will then teach the other Inuit participants as the years go on.
But the ice really is our highway. If you can imagine you guys on the Avalon Peninsula, if the road, the TCH going up to Whitburn, if you were cut off at the isthmus, you can't go anywhere. And really that's the effect that the ice has on us. If the ice isn't there, we can travel inland, like when you're talking to Gordon earlier on, he was talking about inland. We can go inland, but once the highway is there, once our sea ice is there, the highway, we can travel in 360 degrees. We can go to new grounds that weren't hunted. We can go to our fishing spots, that may not be accessible if the sea ice isn't there. A lot of people have cabins, so the freedom of the sea ice to go there, to go out to your cabin for the weekend for your mental health. And Ron said in his talk with you, you can see people's mental health, or you can see people starting to get cabin fever when the sea ice is there, but it's not safe enough to travel either in the fall or in the spring. You can tell in the community that people are just itching to get out on the sea ice for the freedom to be able to go hunt or to be able to go get wood. It just gives us the freedom to go everywhere 360 degrees around Nain. And the other side is from Nain we can travel to the other communities on the sea ice. We can go right from Nain all the way to Postville.
Well, staying up north, you can carry 2 cultures. That's one message Ganani Davis wants to teach the young people of Shehajit and Natwashish. In 2009, the Innu School Board took over, and now the work of that school board is being honored with an award from the Innu Daymoon Music Festival. Here's more from its CEO.
It was a very long journey. We had to do a lot of work. I mean, when we opened in 2009, we started this work in 2002. And ISC, Indigenous Service Canada, didn't make it easy for us. There's a lot more kids now coming to school. We have more graduates since we opened our schools. We have more students coming in and staying. These students are taking pride in who they are, and we want to instill, Innu culture in the schools. So we see a lot of students getting involved in the Innu culture. They'll walk out of there with their academics and know who they are as Innu people, know where they come from, and know their culture. I think that's bringing 2 cultures and intertwining them, I think makes us a better person. So when we leave with that, when we graduate. I think we become better people, because you can carry that. No one can take it away from you. You can carry two cultures. This award of acknowledging Innu taking control over their education and teaching their children means a lot, because it's been a long time coming. There's a lot of people behind this that have worked so hard. The teachers that have continued to come back and teach our children. A lot of Innu staff that have come back and worked and still there. We're trying to teach the younger generation to go back to school, get their education, so they can come back and teach in our community, teach in our school. So it means a lot that we're being recognized for the hard work that everybody put in. The board of trustees, and the leaders, the past chief and council in both Shehajit and Natwashish, and the staff. It's the staff that really that show up every day. I want to acknowledge the past board of trustees that have passed on, that have worked really hard. Like, we've had a board of trustees since 2009. Like, for example, Daniel Ashney, Ben Jonas Rich, Bart Jack, Mary Jane Nui. They did a lot of work while they were with us, and I'd like to thank them and be very grateful for having good leaders.
Well, each year, the Winterset Award celebrates our province's best literary legends in the making. For this year's 25th Winterset Awards, winners received an extra special prize.
The award for nonfiction, Jack Whalen and Lisa Moore for Invisible Prisons.
It's about when I was 13 years old to 17, I was put in a Whitburn Boys Home and confined to a cell for 2 years.
It was an amazing journey, really, for both of us. Jack was so brave and courageous and honest, and working collaboratively has been a really fantastic experience, and I am very, very grateful for the opportunity.
Like these things, this thing today, they take such incredible energy to organize. And what happens is a literary community grows from it. And a book is nothing without a literary community to receive it.
Susie Taylor for Vigil.
So this money has a huge, huge impact on my life. I'm going to use it to fix my house. So this money is going to go directly back into rural Newfoundland and Conception Bay North, which is the place I write about and my muse, and a place I love very much. For writers like me, I live in rural Harbour Grace. I spend most of my day doing things like, chopping wood, walking my dogs, preventing the house from falling down, and in the meantime, I write. And being able to come out of that life and into things like this, to be able to meet other writers, the opportunity to go to Winterset and read not just local writers, but writers with national, international acclaim, it's incredible. These awards really do have a huge impact on our reputation and also as our lives as writer. It creates brand new experiences that we wouldn't have without it.
Thank you. Well, if you're wondering who exactly will be on the ballot in the upcoming federal election, we'll bring you a list of candidates running in all 7 Newfoundland and Labrador ridings. That's coming up. Well, it's week 3 of the federal election campaign. 343 members of parliament will be elected across the country, and 7 of them from this province. Voters can expect to see a lot of new faces. We have only 2 incumbents in this race, Conservative Clifford Small and Liberal Joanne Thompson. Candidates had until April 7th to enter the race, but the 3 major parties now have a full slate of candidates, so let's see who's on the roster in this province. Starting in the riding of Labrador, a seat that was held by Liberal MP Yvonne Jones since 2013. Running in her place for the Liberals is former Air Borealis VP Philip Earle. The Conservative candidate is Ella Wallace, the Deputy Mayor of Happy Valley Goose Bay, and Marius Normore will be on the ballot for the NDP. Next, the island's west coast, Long Range Mountains, the seat held by outgoing Liberal MP Goody Hutchings. There are many contenders vying for this spot. Carol Anstey, who works in real estate, is running for the Conservatives. Former NTV reporter Don Bradshaw is running for the Liberals. The mayor of Cormac, Robbie Coles, is putting himself forward as an independent. Provincial NDP exec Sarah Parsons will be on the ballot, and the candidate for the People's Party of Canada is Pamela Geiger. Moving east to the renamed riding of Central Newfoundland, formerly known as Coast of Bay's Central Notre Dame, incumbent Conservative Clifford Small won the seat in 2021 and hopes to stay put, while physician Lynette Powell will try to take the riding for the Liberals, and Darian Vincent will be on the ballot for the NDP. Then to another newly renamed riding, Terra Nova, the Peninsulas, was known as Bonavista Buren Trinity. The area's longtime Liberal MP Churns Rogers is not seeking re-election. Hoping to win his seat are former journalist Anthony Germain, who's running for the Liberals, Conservative Jonathan Rowe, who works as an engineer, and Liam Ryan for the NDP. The riding of Avalon is up for grabs as Liberal MP Ken McDonald vacates the seat he's held since 2015. Voters have several options. McDonald's executive assistant, Paul Connors, is on the ticket, as is former PC MHA Steve Kent, who's running for the Conservatives. Longtime NDP organizer Judy Vanta is also putting her name forward. In the riding of St. John's East, a Liberal incumbent and newly minted Fisheries Minister Joanne Thompson is hoping to hang on to her seat, but she's being challenged by Conservative David Brazel, who spent 13 years as a PCMHA. Labour activist and federal NDP President Mary Shortall ran in 2021 and is making another attempt, and Otis Crandall is the Green candidate. And finally, another newly named riding, Cape Spear, formerly known as St. John South Mount Pearl, and a seat held by Seamus O'Regan, one of the 5 MPs not seeking re-election. Corey Curtis hopes to turn the riding blue. He's the vice president of a local shipping company, and Liberal Tom Osborne is putting himself forward federally after serving as an MHA for 28 years. Brenda Walsh, an exec with the Provincial NDP, is hoping to capture the seat for her party, and Caleb Tingate is running for the Green Party. So a lot of new names and some familiar faces as you make your choice on who to elect on April 28th. And sticking with election news, day 19 of the campaign has the Conservatives taking on affordable housing. Pierre Poilievre says he'll eliminate the federal sales tax on new homes. He also wants to offer financial incentives for municipalities to reduce fees on housing starts, and blames current prices on the Liberals.
Over 3 terms, the Liberal government has allowed taxes and development charges to spiral out of control, making the cost of housing even more expensive.
Poilievre says that taken together, his measures could reduce the cost of some homes by $100,000. His tax cut proposal would apply to purchases under $1.3 million. Well, Liberal leader Mark Carney rolled out his plan to fight crime and make Canadians feel safer at a campaign stop in the Toronto area. Carney pledged to compensate gun owners who are forced to give up assault-style weapons banned by the government.
We will quickly, and I mean quickly, reinvigorate the buyback of assault-style firearms and leave the classification of new firearm models to the RCMP, to the experts, not to the gun industry.
Carney promised to revoke gun licenses for people who have been convicted of violent offenses, including intimate partner violence. The Liberal leader says he would recruit 1,000 more RCMP workers to fight organized crime and drug and human trafficking. New Democratic Party leader Jagmeet Singh kicked off his day of campaigning in Saskatoon, claiming his Liberal rival Mark Carney would make deep cuts to services in order to balance the federal budget.
He said it means health care, it means pensions, it means supports for people living with disabilities, it means GST and HST credits. He has defined the operating costs, and he's told us that he's going to cut them.
Singh claimed the reductions would amount to $43 billion, resulting in fewer nurses and other impacts to health care. He also criticized Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre for cutbacks on his plan. Singh pledged that his government would never support a budget that cuts essential services like health care, urging Canadians to vote New Democrat. He later met with the Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nations. Well, the Green Party is focusing on a foreign policy plan. Co-leader Jonathan Pedneau wants to help strengthen Canada's role on the world stage.
It's a plan for foreign policy that will free us from foreign dictates, that will free us from past dependencies, and will ensure that Canadians can be once again proud to truly stand up for justice, peace, and sovereignty throughout the world.
Pedneau is seeking a global democratic alliance of nations to stand up against threats from authoritarian states. He's also promising to cancel defense contracts worth billions of dollars with two U.S. aerospace giants. Fellow Green Party co-leader Elizabeth May spent the day campaigning in New Brunswick.
So here's what we've gathered from talking to local residents.
I spoke with a renter who's facing eviction this fall.
It is not for the weak of stomachs. What does it mean for you to be able to give that advice and to know that you've helped? Don't look down.
If this is something that you didn't know about, let me tell you.
Heather Gillis, CBC News, Happy Valley Goose Bay.
St. John's.
Corner Brook.
Shaji, Innu First Nation.
Grand Falls, Windsor.
New West Valley, Newfoundland and Labrador.
Time for a look at the long range. And Ashley, I'm sure I'm not the only one eyeing the forecast for this coming weekend. How's it looking?
Yeah, it seems like a nice weekend to get some stuff done. Yeah, and it should be fairly decent. We're sitting under a ridge of high pressure, as I showed you a little bit before. Things are going to be a little on the cool side, though, because winds are going to shift a little bit. Let's take a look at what's going on as we head into our Saturday. So this is when I think the temperatures will be a little cool, especially for those of you that are in the east, and that's because when the area of low pressure heads to our southeast, the winds will actually be a little bit more onshore. So that should lead to some cooler temperatures, especially as we head into the afternoon, but there should be plenty of sunshine. And the good news is that the winds will be light, so it won't feel all that cold, really. We will see some cloud cover move in as we head towards late day. And then that's about it. Temperatures should sit somewhere between 6 and as much as 11 degrees for the majority of the island. The northern peninsula, you're going to tap in again to some of that colder air, mainly because of the winds, but around 2 degrees, 4 in Cartwright, and then the rest of the big land will sit between 0 and about +2. But yes, there will be plenty of sunshine to go around through your Saturday. And then as we head into Sunday, again, generally sitting under that ridge, though a little bit more cloud cover in play through the morning. Into the afternoon, there should be some sunshine, but for the most part, again, another quiet day for most of the island, and same thing up across Labrador, although you should see a little bit more sunshine because this will be out ahead of our next weather maker, so those clouds will move in. Daytime highs should again sit somewhere between 5 and 11 degrees for most of the island. Labrador above 0, and you'll be sitting somewhere between 5 and 6 degrees again with that sunshine. Now, the long-range forecast will still be above 0, and overnight lows will start to get around there as well, between 1 and 4 degrees. But it does look like we will see some rain move in Monday and continue through Tuesday with temperatures sitting somewhere in the mid-single digits, it looks like at this point. For Central, you are also looking at similar temperatures, although we could see more of a wintry mix. The potential for some freezing rain in there as well between Monday and Tuesday. And then for Western Newfoundland, a quiet weekend, but again, next week, at least the start of it, will be fairly rainy, where you're looking at temperatures between 2 and 4 degrees, periods of rain on Monday, and then some showers by the time we get into Tuesday. The weather, absolutely beautiful up across eastern portions of Labrador. Look at that, daytime highs between 6 and 8 degrees, and plenty of sunshine in the mix there for you. Now for Western Labrador, you're looking at your temperatures above 0 as well. But by Tuesday, the chance of some flurries or showers through the day. Our weather photo taken in Seal Cove. Like a beautiful shot of the reflection in the water. Nice calm day. Ray shared this photo with us and emailed it to us. And if you have any that you would like to share, you can do that by emailing it to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Oh, what a nice spot to have a place right on the water like that. Waking up every morning to the water.
I would love that.
Yeah, me too. I guess we're an island. We can go
anywhere we want.
Go to the shore whenever we want, but that looks very, very nice. Yeah. All right, well, that's it for us. Thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us. Hope you can join us again tomorrow.
Good night.